On today's episode, Thor answers your question about scalability. What prevents a business from being able to scale? All that and more next on Peak Performers Podcast.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. Welcome back to another episode of Peak Performance Podcast. I'm your host, Thor Conklin, and today we have another episode of Q&A. You ask the questions, we give you the answers. Today's question comes in from
Debbie in Minnesota.
I have a sister named Debbie.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
I've met her.
Yes.
I like her.
I like her too.
I know. Debbie would like to know, she's having trouble scaling her business. And what prevents scalability? I think that's a good general question. And I'm going to add something to Debbie's question. Define for our audience the difference between growing your company and scaling it.
Okay, very good. Debbie, the difference between scaling and growing. Growing a business is you taking the business from where it is to a higher level in sales and profits, whatever that might be. That's just growing it. That's not necessarily scaling it. Scaling it is going beyond yourself, where you no longer have to be the person driving that particular business. Where you can scale it, where you have multiple people running different things, and you get to the point where you can actually run the business without you. That's when you know you've scaled it. Now, many people actually resist this idea that any business can be scaled. Chiropractors, doctors, dentists, practitioners,
right,
very often go, look, if I'm not adjusting somebody on a table, I'm not making money. I'm the doctor, right? I've got to be there. That is actually a misnomer. That is not correct. You can actually grow a business when you are that practitioner. Now, it's a little bit more difficult. Other strategies you need to employ, but I see it all the time. So if you're struggling, if you actually happen to be a doctor or dentist or in some sort of field like that and you need help scaling it, drop me an email. Be more than happy to discuss that with you. So why do businesses have trouble scaling? It's the leader, plain and simple. One, you're too close to the business and it's very difficult sometimes to actually see it. Get someone who's around you that can actually help you see things that you don't see. When you're looking at something and you're really, really close to it, it's difficult to see everything else around you, right? If you were in a forest and you were 2 inches away from a tree, it's kind of difficult to see the forest. Get in a drone, go 100 feet up in the air, you can see everything that's going on. You get the concept. So, what prevents scalability? The entrepreneur or the leader. That's number one. They're trying to do everything. Now, guess what? Lots of times, they don't have the right team. Yes, team. They don't have the right team. You got to have the right team. Once you have the right team, you have to delegate, not abdicate, not just hand off tasks, not just throw things at other people and say, hey, go do it. Delegation. If you don't know how to delegate properly, look at one of the previous podcasts. I talked about delegation many times. Make sure you're delegating properly. Number 3, guess what? It's the A word, accountability. That's why it's not happening. You don't have a plan in place. You're not sticking to it. You're not executing on it. Goes back to the ultimate success map as well, right? Talked about that many times here. Got to figure out what you want. You got to come up with an effective plan. You've got to decide. You've got to commit. You've got to make sure your belief systems are in place. You got to make sure you have accountability. And you've got to start acting, massive action, and then make sure you have enough time to see it through. So to recap it, 90% of the time, you've got a nearsighted leader, you've got the wrong team in place, and there's no accountability. So that's generally what keeps people from scaling their business.
That's it, Debbie. Debbie, I hope you're not the leader.
Be the leader, Debbie. Be the leader.
But don't be nearsighted.
That's right.
We appreciate you, Debbie.
Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you found today's show valuable. If you would like to receive these shows automatically to your phone or to your computer, simply go to iTunes and subscribe. After listening to several of his shows, if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating, as this helps us reach additional people and spread the message. If you're truly committed to taking your life to the next level and doing whatever it takes to become a peak performer, but something's holding you back, something is blocking your way, and you just can't seem to figure out what it is, send me an email to info@thorconklin.com, and I'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you. We'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call. No obligation, no cost. I absolutely love to hear from the listeners, and if there's something I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, if you found something of great interest in today's show and you want to share that with your friends and family, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin, click on the episode, hit the share button, and share it on your page. You can follow me at Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. We're constantly adding new free resources, discussing additional tricks, tips, tools, and strategies on how to be a peak performer. Remember, I try to keep these episodes short so you can listen to them during dot time, doing other things, commuting, driving, walking, working out. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.